Jasper, Director. Lindsay Davenport Landry, Director. Nicholas Moore, Director. Stephanie Noblet, Director. Allie Murphy, Director. Joshua Polito, Director. Miles Tompkins, Director. Jesse Day, Director. Heather Harrington, Director. Kelsey Harper, Director. Ojichi Oheto, Ascending Professional Director. Grace Overbeck, Developing Professional Director. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your board of directors. I would like to also introduce the ASCLS staff. Jim Flanagan, Executive Vice President. Melanie Giusti, Director of Professional Development. Andrea Hickey, Director of PACE and Workforce Development. Jen Meltretter, Director of Membership and Constituent Services. Julia O'Donnell, Director of Marketing and Communications. Michael Cubbage, Meeting Manager. I would like to remind everyone that those speaking will be granted courtesy with respect to their comments and opinions. We are here to conduct the business in the best interest of our society. Speakers should present in a constructive and positive manner. Please remember to speak clearly and distinctly when recognized so that everyone will have no difficulty hearing your name, affiliation, and the business to be discussed. Please do wait to be recognized by the chair or the Speaker of the House before speaking. For delegates attending virtually, you will not be unmuted until you raise your hand and are recognized by the chair or the Speaker of the House. All voting will be completed using the online system employed for elections. Each voting member of the House was sent a unique link via email and/or text to your mobile device. Clicking on that link will open a browser window. Please click on the first option available. There's 2 buttons there. You'll click on the first. You will then be asked to provide the unique identifiers that were in the email. Please make sure you have done this at this time, and please make sure you keep that browser open. We also ask that you do not, if you are present physically in the room, use the Wi-Fi signal to click on the Zoom broadcast of this House of Delegates to assure that bandwidth is present for all delegates to vote. Please turn to Agenda Item 3, President's Report. It's my honor here to be here today to provide this President's Report to this House of Delegates. But before I begin, I first have to thank my partner TJ and my family for supporting me on this journey in the last year. They have dealt with me, my anxiety, my stress, my feelings of self-doubt, and the celebrations that come along with a role such as this. Without them, I would not have been able to accomplish this role, and it's because of them that I'm able to be here today. Last year, when the House of Delegates approved our new mission, I noted that it signified that ASCLS is entering the dawn of a new day, and that this new day is one where ASCLS would be a space where belonging takes center stage and where each of us believes in and uplifts one another. Over the last year, it has been my honor and my privilege to see that new day take hold and to shape our collective future. With that, it is important to always reflect on the mission. ASCLS is a collaborative, mutually supportive community, empowering laboratory professionals to excel and advance our field by expanding and exchanging knowledge and advocating for clinical laboratory professionals and the patients they serve. It is the aspirational target that animates this community to achieve greatness. There was not a week over the last year that went by where I did not pull this very slide up and sit with its words to help center me on why I'm here, why we are here, and how we can advance our field together. I hope you have all found these words as inspiring and as uplifting as I have. But words are nothing without action. And I am proud to report that the community continues to punch above its weight class and act in ways that empower our profession. I would like to spend some time celebrating our successes. And you may have heard me talk about some of these throughout the year, if not all of them. However, I have a strongly held belief that I hope you share with me, that we have to continue to recognize and celebrate our efforts and not simply say, that's just what we do. Because folks, you all are incredible. First, in the pillar of community, I hope you all feel like I do, that this is the pillar that serves as the heartbeat of ASCLS. As the saying goes, it takes a village, and I am very proud to be a part of the village alongside all of you. As I noted in the previous society update earlier this week, this past year has been filled with exciting events across the organization. From impressive continuing education to socially focused outings that bring folks together, the community has been on full display for all to see. I have had the honor of attending or hosting many of these events throughout the year. I hope you know that being surrounded by you all at these events has filled my heart with joy and inspiration. It's reminded me why I love this profession, and it continues to do so. I can't put into words, nor shall I ever be able to put into words, how you've uplifted and inspired me. But please know that you will forever have my gratitude. Speaking of gratitude, I need to take a moment and celebrate our developing and ascending professional forums. 20 years ago this very month, I was elected to serve at what was then known as the Student Forum Chair. The Student Forum, now aptly named the Developing Professionals Forum, has been around for decades. However, my colleagues at the time and I all agreed, as folks transition from their academic journeys to their professional journeys, they need a space as well. And that's what began the Young Professionals Committee, that began or became the New Professionals Committee, and is now the Ascending Professionals Forum. Little did my colleagues and I realize at that time what was possible. We simply knew students and new professionals deserve spaces to connect and collaborate. But over time, some incredible, thoughtful, and passionate leaders of those forums have created a roadmap for ASCLS of what is possible if we trust in the power of creativity and hold fast to the simple idea that taking risks and believing in each other empowers us all. To those leaders of the forum, thank you. This organization is so lucky to have you. I hope you know your voices are heard, and the future, your future, is what will define this organization. Thank God there's a laugh break. I knew I'd break there. There we go. Speaking of trying new things, this past year, ASCLS offered the Women of Laboratory Science Summit. This summit was envisioned after a strategic discussion the board of directors had several years ago related to gender-related disparities in our profession. Even in a field predominantly occupied by women, something that I am incredibly proud to be a part of, disparities still exist as it relates to pay, advancement opportunities, and career satisfaction. The summit brought together a small but powerful group of women who had the space to uplift and celebrate one another. I was able to peek my head in at the very end. I wanted to not engage myself with it. And the energy that was in that room was like nothing I have ever felt. The ASCLS Board of Directors had to make the difficult decision to not host this event in the upcoming association year due to financial pressures. However, the board also recognized that such opportunities are important for the community, and the door remains open when the right set of circumstances are present. In reflecting on community some more, it's important to recognize the hard work of our membership and constituent society steering committees. They complete more work every year than we could ever ask any volunteer to do or should ask any volunteer to do. They build up the policy and operational landscape that has set the stage for members to grow together and connect. Our membership committee has done incredible work through their weekly Membership Monday posts that catalyze conversations amongst us all and assure that we all have a voice when we wish to have one. They also have created resources that have empowered the Lapse Member Campaign. And I would suggest it is their efforts as a membership committee that we have seen a significant rise in the number of constituent societies with 80% retention or higher this past year. Not to be outdone, our Constituent Society Steering Committee has spent the last several years enhancing the data landscape within ASCLS to empower our grassroots. This has been driven heavily by the health assessment and the framework for success. And I'm proud to say, thanks to their efforts, for the first time ever, ASCLS now has a set of cohesive operational definitions that define the health of a constituency and that has empowered your board of directors to begin discussing what resources or further policies are needed to advance our constituent societies even further. And we're beginning to see traction, as the slide suggests, with mergers and revitalization efforts. One major success, and I hate to put one person on the spot, but I would like to call out ASCLS Utah and Cherie, their first delegate in a substantial number of years, who is here representing her great state. Can we give her a round of applause? We look forward to seeing ASCLS Utah at future Houses of Delegates, along with other constituent societies that have echoed the sentiment of wanting to send delegates to this meeting. Finally, we have the beginning of a new story for what was ASCLS South Carolina. After years of hard work, the talented leaders there recognized they could not maintain their constituent society in its current form, and they needed to dissolve that current form. I say it's the beginning of a story because the new policy landscape means new opportunities for those members. And there's a bug on the sheet of paper right now, so if you see me fidgeting, I apologize. Means new opportunities for those members, and I look forward to what is to come. To the leaders of ASCLS South Carolina who have made that hard decision, please know that I commend you. I commend your bravery, and I ask this House of Delegates to do the same. Of course, the community of educators in ASCLS is a space I call home. I want to thank Candy Grayson and the CLEC Steering Committee for your Herculean efforts in putting together an incredible program that left all of our brains swimming in new ideas. For me, CLEC isn't simply about knowledge transfer. It's about connecting. It's about community. It's about togetherness. I also want to thank Stephanie Cochran, Andrea Jensen, and the entire leadership of the Clinical Laboratory Educators Forum and the newly named Laboratory Educators Institute Committee for their hard work in bringing educators together through social events and collaborative discussions throughout the year. And of course, the Association for Medical Lab Education Programs, or AMLEP, continues its momentum and progress in building a space for programs and their leadership to collaborate and be solutions focused on challenges we all face in educational programs. To Karen Beck and the board members of AMLEP, thank you for your hard work and your dedication. Finally, at ASCLS, we are proud to relaunch and reimagine the Lambda Tau Medical Laboratory Honor Society this past year. Special thanks to past President Maddie Josephs and the entire task force that envisioned this revitalization and helped identify its future state so we can celebrate high-performing students in our programs. With that, the last item on the community agenda I'm most proud of is ASCLS and its first election open to all eligible members this past May. As a modern grassroots organization, this democratization of the electoral process demonstrates our commitment to assuring that every member has a voice and feels heard in who their leaders are. And that is thanks to the House of Delegates last year, creating the space through a bylaws amendment, allowing for that. But it's also thanks to some dear friends in Barbara Brown, Norma Bavona, Kim Von Ossen, and Holly Weinberg for their substantial efforts in making sure the policies and procedures enacted to meet this change in operations were fair and member-centric. I hope all four of you know that you have made a lasting impact on this association and its grassroots heart. Moving on to knowledge. If community is the heartbeat of ASCLS, then knowledge is the brains that helps our organization remain engaged and relevant in these ever-changing times. And in the pillar of knowledge, there's not enough positives that I can say about what this organization does. We are constantly at all levels producing high quality education thanks to members and thought leaders. It's literally happening on a daily basis, what you are all producing and sharing. I hope the program at this joint annual meeting has been impactful and inspiring. Chris Schwartz and the annual meeting steering committee deserve our thanks for the countless hours reviewing proposals, deliberating on what sessions you would want to hear, and making sure that the community events were also fun and enjoyable. This is no small task and can only be accomplished thanks to their dedication and thoughtfulness. I also want to thank my friend and someone I consider to be one of my most impactful mentors, Cindy Johnson, for chairing the Elm C Squared steering committee. Alongside an incredibly talented group of volunteers on that steering committee, they not only developed a powerful program that was well received, but they did it with less than 3 months of time that they would normally have to do it. They expedited that process and succeeded because of their dedication and their passion. To Cindy to Carly, and to the rest of the steering committee, thank you for your hard work. To this community, please remember to go to elmc2, elmc2.org, and submit a proposal before July 17th if you have a session that you believe would be impactful. Over the last 7 years, ASCLS has put considerable effort and resources into building up our virtual learning presence. While we have been in a position of strength in that department, our investments in the Labucate platform have assured we have an easy-to-use and highly marketable space to center these offerings around. It is thanks to these investments that ASCLS was able to work through our collaborative agreement with the CDC to build the Cultivating Laboratory Leadership and Wellbeing Certificate program this past year. This program is completely free to anyone and demonstrates our commitment as an organization to building a healthy profession that is rooted in intentional well-being. I also want to celebrate the power of our Off the Bench podcast. Recent episodes highlight how this communication tool can empower professionals by helping them prepare for their board exams or hear from thought leaders like Dr. Rodney Rohde. This product helps ASCLS members feel connected to the nerdy and not so nerdy sides of our profession. And I want to apologize that there's not a slide for this, but I would also like to thank Dr. Kathy Otto for the incredible efforts that her as editor-in-chief of our journal, Clinical Lab Science, along with the associate editor team, have made to revitalize and reinvigorate our peer-reviewed publication. Kathy, I want you to know we see the work, we appreciate the work, and we want to continue the work alongside you all. And finally, in the pillar of knowledge, I want to spotlight that our DCLS Advancement Committee will be hosting the inaugural DCLS Symposium this coming November. The theme will be advancing education, clinical practice, and patient impact. This event will bring DCLS professionals together to help amplify their impact. The committee has also built up a repository where DCLS professionals have been authors or have been spotlighted. Anyone can submit to this repository to add to it, and it's meant to be a central hub that highlights the incredible impact these professionals make in healthcare. These efforts once again demonstrate that ASCLS has been the home for the DCLS level of practice since it was a simple idea 26 years ago. I want to thank Dr. Sarah Bergbauer and the DCLS Advancement Committee for making these ideas into a reality. The final pillar of advocacy is what I would define as the spirit of our organization. This community continues to believe in the simple yet powerful idea that each of us has a voice and that it deserves to be heard. Given the landscape, which has been a little chaotic, this pillar has been at the center of my efforts this entire year. But when I say my efforts, I truly mean our efforts, because no singular individual can truly advocate for an association without understanding what you as a community demand. In using the advocacy agenda that was reviewed and revised in January, I directed ASCLS to join or lead nearly a dozen coalitions in sign-on letters, ranging from topics from the medical laboratory workforce to assuring effective legislative branch oversight of vaccine schedules, reimbursements through the clinical laboratory fee schedule, and beyond. One thing that has been very clear to me is that ASCLS is looked at as a leader, not only within our profession, but beyond. Not only within medicine, but beyond. We are sought out as thought leaders by organizations across the country. And I want to give you a little secret. That's because of your passion. That is because of your expertise. Please continue to be engaged by partnering with ASCLS in our Labvacate Symposium or collaborative efforts in the stoplabcuts.org advocacy website. And consider becoming a Labvacate ambassador to help amplify our message and assure policymakers continue to hear us. Because trust me, they do. And how do I know that? Well, because just a few short weeks ago, Stacey Robinson and I were in Washington, D.C., meeting with them. I have been a proud Labvacate for over 20 years at this point, and am continually reminded how impactful the simple act of showing up and speaking up are. And this is most notably demonstrated through HR 5444, the Medical Laboratory Workforce Relief Act. This is bipartisan legislation from Representatives Ross and Kiggins that at its heart says the federal government hears us and wants to help enhance our workforce pipelines. But it takes all of us. And I humbly ask that each of us step outside of our comfort zone and assure that we are building relationships with policymakers. Those policymakers we may see on TV. I can tell you I used to be a little intimidated, but do you want to know the secret I've learned? They're just people like the rest of us. Just have cameras shoved in their face more frequently. Those relationships drive change, and your passion is all that is needed to make it happen. I also want to make sure I shout out another form of advocacy that past President Pat Tilley pointed out last year in our relationship with diagnostic equity. This platform is a reimagining of what was once the Consumer Information Response Team. Volunteers from many professional associations, including our own, fuel this platform's mission. If you're interested in helping patients and providers understand diagnostic laboratory data, consider volunteering. And as our pillars continue to flourish, the ASCLS Board of Directors, your Board of Directors, continues to look forward to the future state and has a multitude, or has had a multitude, of strategic discussions aimed at assuring ASCLS remains in a position of strength and relevance. We've had difficult conversations around finance that are paying off, around neuroinclusion, transparency, AI and governance, and direct-to-consumer testing markets. And speaking of the board of directors, I want to shout out and thank this team from the bottom of my heart. I hope this organization recognizes the deep care and passion that each of you have for this association and its mission. What I've grown to love about being a part of this team is that we don't always agree, and that's okay. We do agree that this organization is critically needed, and that brings us together. It's been an honor working alongside all of you, and I want to remind you that I will continue to have your back as I step into this new role. To conclude, I want to once again go back to one simple concept I brought forward during my acceptance speech last year. The mission of ASCLS is one that promotes this community to build itself into a tapestry of excellence. I can say without reservation that this tapestry is strong, it is powerful, and there is nothing holding you all back. The potential for ASCLS is limitless, and the passion of all of you, its members, will ignite the flame of its future state into an unstoppable force. I believe that by the time we reach ASCLS 100 in 7 short years, we will be stronger than we ever have been, thanks to each and every one of you. And for the last time as president of this incredible organization, I have to say 2 simple yet powerful words from the depths of my soul. Thank you. It is now my great pleasure and honor that I introduce Kim Von Ossen from the great state of Iowa, who will preside as Speaker of the 2026 House of Delegates.
Please turn to pages 2 and 3 of the PDF agenda that was distributed for agenda item 4A, standing rules. The speaker will entertain a motion to adopt the standing rules.
I have to read it. I move to adopt the standing rules of the House of Delegates as found in the House agenda packet for this meeting.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded that the standing rules be adopted. Is there discussion? Hearing none, we will now vote. This is your first test. The vote should be live. Yep. Oh, you'll get a minute. Okay. Okay. Did everybody hear that? They said if you close all the way out and go back in. Yeah. We'll try that first. Yep. So test number 1, for future votes, you're probably gonna have to close out and log back in. And I will. Okay. I got it. Ah. Yeah, so if you, just to clarify, when you get the new email to vote, so log out after you vote. When you get the new email to vote, log in with that one, and that seems to work. So it's closing out the first one, and then you have a new one. We're all scientists. We can make it through the technology. We got it. Okay, perfect. At an age. Just waiting for it to appear. Yes, feel free to be loud and eat your snacks during this time. I'm also not a yellow. All right, the vote is finished. The ayes have it, and the standing rules have been adopted. And I apologize, I have to kind of get really close to the mic for online. So if that bothers anybody else, I apologize. Please note the standing rules most pertinent to this meeting. Rule 3, any standing rule may be suspended at any time by a 2/3 vote of the House of Delegates. Rule number 5, no new business may be introduced into the House of Delegates unless authorized by consent of a 2/3 of the members of the House of Delegates present on the floor of the House at the time of the vote. If such consent is not obtained, the matter shall be referred without further consideration to the proper standing or special committee. Rule 6, unless otherwise defined, whenever a 2/3 vote is required for passage of any proposition, it shall mean the votes cast in favor of that passage shall total 2/3 of the votes cast, except that passage of amendments of the bylaws or an order for revision of the bylaws shall require a 2/3 affirmative vote of the accredited members of the House of Delegates, certified as present by the Credentials Committee at the time of the vote on the respective amendment or order for revision. The word certified as present is important here in a live virtual hybrid environment. Who is present can be different from moment to moment. We don't have the same controls in place when we are all in the same room. Delegates may vote in favor or against or may abstain. If a delegate is abstaining, they must voice that abstention in order for us to establish they are present. Please note, because abstentions increase the total number of votes, abstentions function as a vote against the motion by increasing the number of votes. Rule 7, when a majority vote is required for passage of any proposition, it shall mean that the vote is more than half the votes cast. Rule 8, in order to be granted the privilege of the floor, a member must go to the floor microphone or, if virtual, raise their hand, and once recognized or unmuted, address the chair and give their name and constituent society affiliation. Rule 9, a member may speak no more than twice and not more than 3 minutes each time on the same subject on the same day. Rule 10, all motions shall be in writing and given to the chair of the House, who gives them to the secretary after presentation. For a motion to be considered in writing and official, it must be submitted electronically using the online motion form link previously distributed on the agenda for today's meeting. Is this clear? And are there any questions that we can answer? Please turn to page 4 of the PDF agenda that was distributed for agenda item 4B and 4C, the minutes of the 2025 annual meeting of the House of Delegates and the minutes of the 2026 mid-year meeting of the House of Delegates. These minutes have been approved by the Minutes Committee and are on file in the Executive Office. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, by general consent, the minutes will stand as presented. We thank the chairs of the House committees for your willingness to serve and your hard work. The chair of the Credentials Committee is Stephanie Mabry from Michigan. Is the chair of the Credentials Committee prepared to give a credentials report? Ms. Mabry.
Yes, thank you, Speaker Von Assen. As determined by constituent society membership lists as of April 30, 2026, there were 239 possible delegates, plus the Board of Directors. Including the Board of Directors, 149 eligible individuals have been credentialed for the 2026 annual meeting of the ASCLS House of Delegates.
Thank you. Elections Committee. The chair is Barbara Brown of Colorado. Does the Elections Committee wish to make an announcement relative to this, Ms. Brown?
Brown. Elections Committee. President Riding, ASCLS Board of Directors, Speaker Kim Von Assen. The ASCLS 2026 elections were held May 13th to 22nd, the first time all eligible members were given the privilege of voting for officers and committee members. Here are the results. President-elect Tula Castillo from Illinois. Directors, Nicholas Moore from Illinois, Leah Narens from Wisconsin, Heather Santiniello from Kansas. Judicial Committee, Hassan Aziz from Texas. Nominations Committee, Karen Beck from Maryland, Amelia Marrero Green from Florida, Samantha Peterson from North Dakota. Ascending Professionals Forum, Vice Chair, Demi Adebonyeyo, Wisconsin, Secretary Clayton Fraker from Wisconsin. Developing Professionals Forum, Chair, Eleanor Gould, Wisconsin, Vice Chair, Elijah Neely from Louisiana, and Secretary Natalie Ishioka from Michigan. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your duly elected board, committee members, and the chair of the Developing Professional Forum. Ms. Day. The chair of the Minutes Committee is Perry Scanlon of Tennessee. Members of the Minutes Committee, Mark DeLuna and Sarah Steinberg. The Master Sergeant of Arms is Maddie Josephs from Rhode Island. Agenda item 5, Board of Directors reports. The ASCLS Secretary is Kemarine Roberts. Is the Secretary prepared to present the motions referred from the Board of Directors?
I move that the 2026 ASCLS House of Delegates adopt the amendment to Article 9 of the ASCLS Bylaws as presented in the House agenda packet.
The motion is that the 2026 ASCLS House of Delegates adopt the amendment to Article 9 of the ASCLS Bylaws as present in the House agenda packet. Is there any discussion? I will remind the House, Rule 10 states that a member may speak not more than twice and not more than 3 minutes each time on the same subject on the same day. All right. Seeing no further discussion. Oh, wait. I was like, okay. Microphone 1.
So as Kyle stated in his talk moments ago, that the society cannot be effective without knowing what we as a community demand. The 2024 annual board meeting approved the formation of a regional task force tasked with surveying the current state of regions and prescribing best practices, as well as suggesting policy or bylaws changes that would allow the regions to serve their purpose to give members greater access to ASCLS resources. The members of that committee, John Cohn, Abby Wichman, Clayton Fraker, Perry Scanlon, Jeremiah O, Jesse Van Belaren, Barbara Kraj, and Ellis McVoy, diligently reached out to constituent society leaders within each of the regions to determine how each of those regions were functioning and how they were not. One of the findings of that committee was that following the HOD adoption of the bylaws to remove the regional duties and the regional title from directors of the board of directors of ASCLS, that a considerable portion of ASCLS leaders were of the belief that regions had been effectively dissolved at that time. Without that guidance and without knowledge and understanding of how regions would function and who would be responsible or should be responsible to organize and convene meetings of regional councils, they had floundered. The committee made specific suggestions and changes to policies that would better serve their ability to meet that purpose. Those were approved, I believe was the language, and sent to the policy from the 2025 annual business meeting. Those policies had not yet been completely revised, put into policy, and then sent back to the regions to use to function. There was no finding that those leaders in ASCLS or that the membership of ASCLS wanted to dissolve the regions completely or wanted to make them voluntary. And so I implore you, that is the opportunity now that you do get to have that vote. When making them voluntary without having the functionality, I believe will effectively dissolve them. I know some regions will have planned and have stated that they will carry on doing what they do. And it is important, I believe, to the function and the ability to reach members, to serve members that their constituent society may not. So I do implore you to please consider carefully before you vote. Oh, Marianne, Pennsylvania, sorry.
Any further discussion before we launch the vote? I'll give you a moment. Microphone 1.
Leticia Nunez-Argote, North Carolina. Um, just to say that I appreciate this body's consideration of this motion, and to let you all know, I belong to 3 different regions, and my current region is in trouble. And as president of my constituent society, I really want to have the opportunity to do something that makes more sense for my constituent members and be able to collaborate more freely with my neighbors and other colleagues so we can help our membership grow in our area. And if you look at who belongs to Region 3, that looks like a very difficult task, very overwhelming. So having the opportunity to establish smaller, more concise, and more deliberate collaborations while respecting those regions that I've belonged to that work is something that I would hope to have the opportunity to do.
Right. Any further?
Madam Speaker, for the benefit of the Minutes Committee, could we have the second for that motion?
No. It came from the board. Any further discussion? Yes. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is that the 2026 ASCLS House of Delegates adopt the amendment to Article 9 of the ASCLS bylaws as present in the House agenda packet. The ballot to vote will appear in your browser. Actually get an email. Please vote yes or no. Hmm? Okay. Okay. Hold on. Just for you to be aware, the vote will automatically go for 3 minutes. So you have 3 minutes to complete. So we'll have a 3-minute kind of pause here. Yeah. This thing? No, this thing is very wobbly. It's like. Mm-hmm. sort of like, not like, I don't think, but just like a little move. Yeah, but I think that's too much. Yeah. Yeah. Flip. Yeah. All right, we have the vote and the ayes have it. The motion has passed. The amendment I passed, should say. Secretary Roberts,
I move that the 2026 House of Delegates approve the position paper entitled Health Equity as presented in the House Agenda Packet.
the motion is that the 2026 ASCLS House of Delegates approve the position paper entitled Health Equity as presented in the House Agenda Packet. I will remind the House that Rule 10 states that a member may speak no more than twice and not more than 3 minutes each time on the same subject on the same day. Is there any discussion? Microphone 2.
Writing, the board. Thank you, Speaker Von Ossen. I would just like to share with this House of Delegates that I had the opportunity to serve alongside the authors of this position paper as their board liaison. I would like to take a second and commend their hard work. This began as a journey from the board of directors to create a position paper focused on the intersection between social determinants of health and laboratory medicine. However, through that journey, the members of the task force believed that instead of looking at the input of determinants, we should be looking at the ultimate outcome, which is health equity. And that is where this position paper comes from. Again, I'd like to commend the hard work of the task force and its leader, Chair Dr. Emily Barnes. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Are we ready? Seeing no further discussion, the motion is that the 2026 ASCLS House of Delegates approve the position paper entitled Health Equity as presented in the House Agenda Packet. The ballot to vote will now appear in your browser. Please vote yes or no. Yeah, we need a little. A 3-minute clock. No. I said we need a little 3-minute clock in the corner. All right, the ayes have it. The motion passes. Agenda item 7, new business. If there is any other new business, I remind the House that a motion to suspend Standing Rule 5 is required to introduce new business at this time. Is there any new business? I wish to thank the officers, members of the Board of Directors, members of the staff, credentials, and minutes committee, Sergeant at Arms, and the parliamentarian for their help and support in making this year yet another successful House of Delegates. I also wish to express my personal thanks to President Riding. President Riding, we are ready to continue with the agenda.
Thank you, Speaker Von Ossen. Please turn to Agenda Item 7A, Board of Directors Distinguished Service Awards. The Board of Directors would like to honor those individuals who have made a significant contribution to ASCLS this past year. The greatest asset of any organization is its members' capacity to share their time, knowledge, and talent. Today, we recognize some of our most engaged and valuable members who, as leaders, have empowered ASCLS's many achievements. For those receiving awards, please come to the lectern when your name is called to receive your award. It gives me great pleasure to present the following Board of Director awards. Stephanie Cochran, for her thoughtful and passionate leadership this past year of the Clinical Laboratory Educators Forum. Emily Barnes, for her hard work and dedication as chair of the Health Equity Position Paper Task Force. Candy Grayson, for her service as chair of the CLEC Steering Committee. Christopher Schwartz, for his service as the chair of the Annual Meeting Steering Committee. Perfect. Yeah. I believe it was Allison Janney who had that issue at the Golden Globes one year. Cindy Johnson, for her service as chair of the Elm C Squared Steering Committee. Karen Beck for leadership and service as the chair of the AMLEP Board of Directors. The next one is a group, and if you are present as part of the group, please come up. Doctors Tara Moon, Leticia Nunez Argote, Michelle Parent, and Ulysses Rojo for their dedication and service as associate editors of the journal Clinical Laboratory Science. This is also a group one. Haley Van Chattel and Erica Buchanan for their hard work and dedication to the members of Colorado and Wyoming through service as the chairs of the Clinical Laboratory Collaborative Conference. And if you know this person, they're last but certainly far from least. Past President Barbara Brown for her exceptional dedication, hard work, care, and commitment as the chair of the Elections Committee. Please turn to Agenda Item 7B, Board of Directors Leadership Award. This year, I have the distinct honor of offering a newly created award, the Board of Directors Leadership Award. The ASCLS Board of Directors Leadership Award is established to recognize and honor outgoing members of the ASCLS Board of Directors. The award serves as a symbol of appreciation for their dedication to advancing the mission and strategic goals of ASCLS. For awardees, when your name is called, please come over to me, receive your commemorative award, and then make your way to down below the projector screen so that we can have a group photo. This year, the awardees are Pat Tilley, Joshua Polito, while she's not with us here today in person, she's with us virtually, Allie Murphy. Similarly, Ojichi Oheto, and finally, Grace Overbeck. Agenda item 7C, installation of officers. Will the newly elected board members, committee members, and the developing professional director please come up to in front of the stage and line up in the following order? Closest to the lectern and first, the nominating committee members, followed by judicial committee, developing professional director, ascending professional director, directors, president-elect, president. For those in attendance virtually, please note that you will be able to unmute yourself to affirm your oath of office. Here, come this way. Remember Karen. Karen Beck, Amelia Marrero Green, Samantha Peterson. You have been elected to one of the most important yet least heralded of our society committees. You serve to select from all of the nominees submitted those candidates who will make up our final slate for election. The discretion and judgment that you must exercise will have a profound effect on the future of ASCLS. Do you promise to fulfill your committee responsibilities for the next 2 years?
I do.
Are there any online, Jim? Nominating committee? No. All right. Congratulations. He is. Hassan. Okay, I'm gonna skip by that. Eleanor Gould of Wisconsin is with us virtually. Eleanor, give her a round of applause. Eleanor, you have been elected to represent the Developing Professional Forum on the board of directors. It will be your duty to communicate society activities to the forum and to share with the board the opinions, suggestions, and attitudes of the forum. It will be your responsibility to know and understand fully the many areas of ASCLS involvement and the programs initiated as membership services. Your final duty, however, will be to represent the whole of ASCLS as an elected member of the board of directors. You will serve as a legal fiduciary for the society and will be expected to fulfill the duties of care, obedience, loyalty, and foresight. Do you promise to fulfill this responsibility?
I do.
Congratulations, Eleanor. We are also proud to announce that Elijah Neely of Louisiana has been elected vice chair, and Natalie Ishioka of Michigan has been elected secretary of the Developing Professional Forum. Please join me in congratulating these worthy individuals. Sarah Steinberg of Wyoming. You will bring the perspective of the ASCLS ascending professional members to the board of directors. It will be your duty to communicate society activities to the forum and share with the board the opinions, suggestions, and attitudes of the forum. It will be your responsibility to know and understand fully the many areas of ASCLS involvement and programs initiated as membership services. Your final duty, however, will be to represent the whole of ASCLS as an elected member of the board of directors. You will serve as a legal fiduciary for the society and will be expected to fulfill the duties of care, obedience, loyalty, and foresight. Do you promise to fulfill these responsibilities?
I do.
Congratulations. We are also proud to announce that Dorian Redding of Virginia has assumed the chair role. Demi Adeboyejo of Wisconsin, and I apologize, Demi, if I mispronounced that, has been elected vice chair, and Clayton Fraker of Wisconsin has been elected secretary of the Ascending Professionals Forum. Congratulations. Wisconsin's taken over, y'all. Come together. Nicholas Moore, Illinois. Leah Narens, Wisconsin. Heather Centineo, Kansas. You have been elected to serve on the board of directors of the American Society for Clinical Laboratory Science. You will represent the whole of ASCLS as an elected member of the board of directors. It will be your duty to share with the board the opinions, suggestions, and attitudes of the membership. It will be your responsibility to know and understand fully the many areas of ASCLS involvement and programs. You will serve as a legal fiduciary for the society and will be expected to fulfill the duties of care, obedience, loyalty, and foresight. Do you promise to fulfill these responsibilities?
Yes.
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 Congratulations. President-elect Demetra Tula Castillo of Illinois. You have been elected to the office of President-elect of the American Society for Clinical Laboratory Science. It shall be your duty to assist the president in ways deemed necessary to familiarize yourself with the responsibilities of that office. As president-elect, you will be asked to represent ASCLS in many areas, many areas. It will be your responsibility, therefore, to know and understand fully the many areas of ASCLS involvement and the programs initiated as membership services. It will also be your duty to fulfill the responsibilities of the president in the event that she is unable to do so. You will serve as a legal fiduciary for the society and will be expected to fulfill the duties of care, obedience, loyalty, and foresight. Do you promise to fulfill these duties to the best of your abilities?
Yes, I do.
Congratulations. President Stacey Robinson of Maryland, you have been chosen for the highest office of the American Society for Clinical Laboratory Science. This office has been conferred upon those who have proven great dedication and great ability. Those who fill the office must be willing to follow the high ideals of the society and pledge themselves to the society. It will also be your duty and responsibility to speak for ASCLS and for clinical laboratory science in all arenas where health and patient care are concerned, and in all sections of this country. Upon your shoulders rests the burden of articulation of society goals and objectives, interpretation of outside activities to the board and the membership, and oversight of the business of the society. You will serve as a legal fiduciary for the society and will be expected to fulfill the duties of care, obedience, loyalty, and foresight. Do you promise to uphold these goals and fulfill the duties and responsibilities of the office of president to the best of your abilities?
I do.
Congratulations. Stay right there. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I will present Stacey with the pin for the president and the gavel at this time. Your new president, Stacey Robinson.
To our past president, Pat Tilley, you have served this society with great distinction, patience, and initiative. Your time on the board of directors has been marked by substantial growth and progress. You have contributed wise counsel, courage, and leadership. And we are now honored to have your colleagues in the South Dakota chapter and Region 5 escort you back to your delegation.
I gave a letter to the postman. He put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, he brought my letter back. She wrote upon it, return, send it, address unknown. No such number, no such zone. We had one. All right, I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. So then I dropped it in the mailbox as in a special deed. Bright and early next morning, it came right back to me. She wrote upon it, return the sender, address unknown. No such person, no such zone. This time I'm gonna take it myself and put it right in her hand. And if it comes back the very next day, then I'll understand. Writing on it, return the sender, address unknown. No such number, no such zone. Return the sender, return the sender.
Agenda item 7D, the Mendelsohn Award. The Robin H. Mendelsohn Memorial Award was established in 1971 to commemorate a courageous young man who struggled for 5 years with kidney dialysis and 2 transplants during the infancy of transplant technology. The award honors outstanding service and contributions to ASCLS, the ASCLS Education and Research Fund, and to the clinical laboratory science profession. The recipients of the Mendelsohn Award are Dr. Mary Beth Flaws. For her distinguished service on the NACLS board, including time as its president. She has represented ASCLS with great distinction, and we are grateful for her contributions to the mission of both organizations. Dr. Kathy Otto, for her passionate dedication and service as the editor-in-chief of the ASCLS Journal, Clinical Laboratory Science. Dr. Otto has worked tirelessly and through countless hours alongside her colleagues to re-envision the future state of the journal and maintaining the highest level of academic integrity for this important peer-reviewed publication. Dr. Kyle Riding, for his service as ASCLS president this past year. Kyle Riding, ASCLS president. Kyle, thank you for sharing your considerable intellect and unshakable patience and compassion with us. You were the perfect person to lead us during this time. Please also accept this gavel engraved with the dates of your presidential year as a token of our appreciation for all of your efforts and accomplishments over the past year. Agenda item 7E, President's Acceptance Speech. Okay, good morning, everyone. These speeches usually start out with where I'm from. If you were to ask me that, I might look at you a little funny while I try to figure out the best answer. I'm an Army brat. I was born on one side of the Capitol Beltway, and I graduated from high school on the opposite side. I'm not from there. There are about 15 moves and 2 other countries in between. We moved to South Korea when I was 5, and most of my earliest memories are actually from Itaewon. We lived in Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, Alabama, Texas, and New Mexico, some of them more than once. I began high school at American High School in West Germany. I do identify as third culture. That's a term for the culture shared by those who are raised in multiple countries or cultures. Later, the Army sent me right back to some of those same places. I spent half my military service overseas, stationed in Uijeonbu, South Korea, Landstuhl, Germany, and deployed to Camp Doha, Kuwait. San Antonio was my only stateside duty assignment. That right there is a picture of me at the bottom for my 29th birthday party, first annual. That went too far. No, it didn't. I've also visited laboratories and laboratory programs across South Africa and Egypt through people-to-people programs. If you want a wild story, you might want to ask Mary Gorley about that time she rescued me on safari. South Korea, Germany, Kuwait, South Africa, Egypt. Diversity for me was never an abstract value. It's simply how I grew up and how I've lived my life. My workplace is very diverse. About a third of my colleagues are naturalized citizens. A truly diverse environment is my happy place. That also includes neurodiversity in a big way. This is my nephew. Some people say he's autistic. I just know that we have a lot in common. I don't really have a good picture of him flapping for you, but I can tell you he's fast. If we are all different, then we all have that in common. We get to be a little bit like foreigners, with no one expected to know all of the social rules, but everyone giving each other a little more grace than usual. But the lab itself came into my life much earlier than the Army, over lunch, actually. As a high schooler in West Germany, I worked a summer hire job doing yard work in Nellingen Barracks, the same Army post where my mother worked in the laboratory of the Troop Medical Clinic. I'd meet her for lunch, and if she wasn't quite ready to go, she'd teach me a few things. Streaking plates with a wire inoculation loop and incinerating it between samples. She taught me how to perform pregnancy tests, the agglutination inhibition kind where you rotated a card and it didn't agglutinate if it was positive. Sometimes she'd send me back to work eating cottage cheese or ice cream out of a sterile specimen cup. The guys would be thoroughly grossed out because they only knew one use for those cups. Those lunches were my first exposure to the laboratory. Years later, while looking at an Army brochure, I saw only one job that I was interested in. I was dirt poor, half-starved, and I'd fallen through all the cracks as far as getting school money. I scored high on the aptitude exam, explained to the recruiter what I wanted, and headed off for a full day at the processing station. At the end of that day, they announced my new job skill, Patriot missile repair. My face fell. I told him I thought that was a dumb job. The whole idea is to break the things, isn't it? So basically, I walked out on him. They caught up to me at the elevator. Didn't you say you're interested in lab? They had found somehow one spot exactly on the timeline that I wanted to leave. On a side note, a few years ago, I caught a glimpse of my father's birth certificate. His father is listed as a hospital laboratory worker. That makes me third generation, I guess, with lab and military service on both sides. I never really had a chance, did I? I am a graduate of the Clinical Laboratory Science program at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. Sherlyn McKenzie was the department chair. Linda Smith, Sherry Burns, and Connie Mann were my professors. I joined ASCLS as a student member, and after graduation, they became my mentors and friends. They introduced me to ASCLS in my first meeting in Washington, D.C., and the people they introduced me to this society were all very active members, past presidents, directors. Seeing my friends and mentors walk that path made it seem more like an aspiration, but less like an aspiration and more like something easily attainable. Everybody else was doing it. Watching them lead ASCLS is a large part of why standing here today feels less like a leap and more like a continuation. My PhD studies focus on organizational leadership, specifically volunteer leadership in professional organizations. For someone who loves leadership, volunteer leadership is probably its purest test. There's very little carrot beyond recognition and almost no stick at all. The people you lead can walk away at any time. They have no obligation to even say why. It's leadership without a net, leading not because of title or consequences, but because people choose freely to follow. So this is me stepping into the arena, seeing if I can become that subject matter expert that my PhD will allude to. I'm also at the other end of my career now, and I'm thinking about change a lot. I will be retiring this year, a little on the young side, and I'm struggling a bit. I'm leaving what's familiar, including all that I've accomplished, and what I feel that I'm very good at. I failed to succeed at retirement on April 30th, and I'll be trying it again in August. I'm stepping into a big role today, and I'm working on completing my PhD. I have a lot of hopes and plans tied to both of those, but I need to go out in the world and see what I may become. Change is important. Change at the right time, even more so. There may be greater things out there, both for me and for ASCLS, waiting on the other side of that change. If we hold on too tightly to the familiar for too long, we may never get to see what's in store. Staying the same is an easy choice, but we already know where that takes us. I'm stepping away from my daily grind to step differently, to find a more nimble existence and choose work on my own terms. I'll be giving my primary focus to ASCLS this year. ASCLS is also approaching 100 years. Will we continue as we are into professional society retirement, or will we make bold changes and see what we may become? I've seen a lot of presidents bring a book into their speech, and this year I'll bring a couple of them. The Promises of Giants by John Amici and Collective Genius, The Art of Practice of Leading Innovation by Linda Hill. John Amici is a very large man, a former NBA basketball player, and he writes about what it means to move about the world, taking up a disproportionate space. Physical size isn't really his point, though. Everyone is a giant to someone, or has the potential to be. He tells a story about being on a dance floor, dancing with abandon, swinging his arms about until his sister grabbed him. She was furious. He had accidentally broken a man's nose without even noticing. He'd just let loose like anybody else. But he reflects as a giant. I can't let loose with the same disregard as everyone else. And when it comes to our interactions with others, neither can you. Giants play with different rules. Everything we do is magnified. A glance across a room, a tone in an email, a moment in a hallway. And these things carry a weight that we may not intend, a weight that can lift someone up or leave them diminished. You may not see yourself as a giant, but ask yourself, who looks up to you? A student you mentor, an MLT or an MLS in your lap, a colleague who's never told you how much your encouragement has meant. Everybody is a giant to somebody. You're already more powerful than you know. Now let's put a room full of people like that together. People who understand their own size. The real question becomes, what can we build together? And that's where Linda Hill's work comes in. At the heart of her work is a paradox, combining individual talents and passions of many different people and bringing it all together to create something new. Those two things pull against each other, and that tension, she says, is the real work of leadership. She describes innovation as a collaborative journey among people with different expertise and different points of view. There's trial and error, false starts, missteps, and mistakes. She says innovative work can be exhilarating, and it can also be downright scary. That word matters, scary. Because if the work is scary, then the environment in which people do that work has to be one where it is safe to be wrong. Safe to dissent, safe to offer the unconventional idea, and have it genuinely heard rather than quietly set aside. A leader who models uncertainty and polish will certainly get certainty and polish back, and nothing new will ever be made. In innovative organizations, differences are amplified, not minimized. Every person brings their own little slice of genius. And the leader's task is to create a space where all of those little slices of genius can be unleashed and harnessed and turned into something that none of us can build alone. She puts it simply, our role as leaders is to set the stage, not to perform on it. What people in innovative organizations want, she says, is to co-create the future, not to be managed towards someone else's vision, not to execute, but to build something that matters together and to know that a piece of it was theirs. This is what I want for ASCLS, a stage set wide enough for every voice in this room, a community where it is safe to try something new and get it wrong on the way to getting it right, where differences are amplified because that's where the real genius lives, where every disruptor, minority voice, unconventional idea is not just tolerated, but genuinely heard, and where credit flows freely because what we build together will belong to all of us. So here we are. Your colleagues stayed home to manage their labs, their programs, and their benches, cover shifts, and handle 1,000 things that ensure timely and accurate laboratory testing for patient care. That's important work. But you came here to play a part in the governance of the profession itself. You give your time, your energy, and your presence to give to something that is beyond the bench. You are giants. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to shape the future of ASLS with you. Thank you. Agenda item 7F, commendations and announcements. I would like to remind delegates making commendations that commendations will only be recorded in the minutes if submitted electronically to the Secretary Treasurer via the form link you've previously been provided. Did I miss something? No. Please feel free to come to the microphone to be heard. Microphone 2.
I move that the House of Delegates extend its sincere appreciation to our outgoing and Montana President, Ann Tate, for her outstanding leadership, unwavering dedication, and passionate advocacy for the medical laboratory profession. Her service has strengthened ASCLS Montana and inspired us all. Thank you, Ann. We appreciate everything you have done, and while you leave some very big shoes to fill. Your example will continue to guide us.
Suzanne Butch, Michigan. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates join ASCLS Michigan in commending our President, R.J. Benson, for a job very well done.
Clayton Fraker from Wisconsin. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize and commend all those who took the leap and joined the joint annual meeting for the first time.
Jenna Amundson, ASCLS Minnesota, incoming president. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize Crystal Jerome, outgoing president for Minnesota, for all of her hard work planning on our state and regional meetings.
Microphone number 2.
Judy Garrick, Louisiana, and PAC Chair. I want to recognize the regional winners of the PAC donations. Third place was Region 6 was $1,827.98. That's Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska. Second place is Region 5 with $2,285.45. And first place, and the trophy goes to Region 8 with $2,628. Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Utah, and Wyoming. So somebody from there come get this.
Microphone number 2.
Ann Tate, Montana. I'd like to move in to acknowledge Maria Rodriguez and Shannon Callahan Gardner, Abby Wichman, and Holly Weinberg for their dedication in organizing another successful spring meeting for ASCLS Montana. Without their passion and attention to the detail, we would not be able to have such a successful and valuable experience for our members in Montana.
Microphone number 2.
Crystal Jerome, outgoing president for ASCLS Minnesota. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates commend Allie Murphy for her time served on the National Board of Delegates, National Board of Directors, and all of the hard work she continues to do at the national, state, and regional levels to move our society forward.
Microphone number 2. Go ahead.
Hi, Dalton Shangrand. I'm the Director of Ascending Professionals for ASCLS Pennsylvania. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize Marian Downs for serving 2 consecutive terms as ASCLS PA President. Her leadership has been valiant and the growth of our constituency. We are deeply devoted to her and all that she has done. So,
Microphone number 1.
Lindsay Davenport Landry, Board of Directors. I move ASCLS recognize Nadine Fedrzejewski for her greater than 30 years of promoting the DCLS profession, working on that, and her retirement this year.
Microphone number 2.
Crystal Jerome, outgoing president for ASCLS Minnesota. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize and commend the Region 5 Leadership Academy Committee for all of their hard work revitalizing the Leadership Academy and updating the curriculum. We are so excited to start our class at the upcoming Region 5 Symposium in October.
Microphone number one.
Robin Sorrell, ASCLS Colorado. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize Barbara Brown for her service to ASCLS Colorado, coming out of retirement once more to serve as ASCLS Colorado State President this past year when we needed her leadership.
Microphone number two.
Snyderman, Pennsylvania, on behalf of the Education and Research Fund and Chair of Fundraising, Victoria Rensink, want to thank those present for their generosity. We raised nearly $4,800 this week, which will be more than one scholarship or grant. And if anybody still wants a commemorative pin, please see me up front. Thank you.
Microphone number two.
Joseph, Central New England. I move that the House of Delegates commend Central New England past President Leslie Martineau and President Matthew Duquette on their efforts to reactivate ASCLS Connecticut and successfully completing the merger of Connecticut into ASCLS C&E, now comprised of Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
Microphone number one.
I move that the ASCLS Board of recognize Lynn Almer for her 31 years of service as an FSCLS, the Florida Society member and leader in many ways. And we also want to recognize her for her 51st year of service to ASCLS. And this is on behalf of the board for FSCLS.
Microphone number two.
Jerome, Minnesota. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates commend Cindy Johnson for her dedication and tireless work on the ELMC Planning Committee. Her mentorship knows no bounds, and we are so thankful to have such a great leader continuing the success of ELMC Squared.
Microphone number one.
Good morning, McNasby, Florida, President. We move at the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize Dr. Halcyon St. Hill for her leadership and service as the ASCLS ENR Board Liaison, as well as for her dedication and service to ASCLS for 51 years.
Microphone number two.
Clayton Fraker, outgoing President, ASCLS Wisconsin. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize and commend Leah Narens for her leadership as the ASCLS Wisconsin Conference Committee Chair for several years now.
Microphone number one.
Ann Tate, ASCLS Montana, and we would like to thank Erica Buchanan from Colorado. She's the chair of Region 8, and she's done a great job this year, and we want to thank her for all of her hard work.
Microphone number two.
Eric Elsinghorst, Kansas. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize Heather Santaniello, our outgoing president of the ASCLS Kansas, for her exceptional leadership and dedication not only to our own constituent society, but to the ASCLS as larger as an incoming board of director member.
Microphone number one.
This is Nicola Chin for Idaho. I move that the board recognize Debbie Schell for her years of service to PAC and dedication to our constituent society.
Microphone number two.
Joseph, Central New England. I move that the House of Delegates commend and celebrate past President Kyle Riding from Central New England on his outstanding service as ASCLS President for 2025-26.
Microphone number one.
Yes, good morning. Sarah Schremser, ASCLS Missouri President-elect. I move to recognize John Koenig for his service to ASCLS Missouri for 49 years as president multiple times.
Do one.
Are there any additional announcements? Oh, microphone one.
Sorry, one more.
ahead.
Robin Sorrell, ASCLS Colorado. I move that the ASCLS House of Delegates recognize the leadership and hard work of Rosalind McQueen as our ASCLS Bylaws Chair this year. Her leadership was invaluable.
Microphone one.
One more, the last one, please. My name is Federico Rodriguez, representing our state of Florida, Florida Society of Clinical Laboratory Scientists, and I would like to recommend Heather Manaxby, sorry. She is our fearless leader for our society and for her leadership for all this, despite the struggles, keep our organization together. Thank you.
Are there any additional announcements? Hearing none, by motion of general consent, the 2026 House of Delegates is adjourned. That's